In the quiet corners of Kyoto, in the steam rising from a cup of hot tea, in the minimalist corner of an undecorated room, there lies a secret. One that isn't shouted, one that isn't flaunted, one that is passed down silently like sacred art. To the Japanese, wealth is not about the accumulation of things. It's about the absence of excess. It's not about the numbers in a bank account, but the quality of what you choose not to buy. While the world chases discounts, trends, and impulses, they walk slowly, each step measured, each object intentional, each yen spent as if it were a prayer. And you? How many times have you bought something out of fear of not having? How many times have you tried to fill an inner void with something that, once home, filled nothing? True poverty isn't measured in income. It lives in unconscious decisions. And true wealth begins with one radical act: stopping the waste. Today, we'll uncover 20 silent acts the Japanese would never do with their money. Small choices that, one by one, build a bridge to financial and emotional freedom. Tell me, have you ever felt your money disappear without knowing how? Leave it in the comments. Your story might echo in someone else's soul. Type the word awaken if you're ready to see money with new eyes. Because this isn't just a video about saving. It's a message for the soul. And what you'll find here can change lives. 1. They never spend without first understanding why. Before opening their wallet, they open inner space, a pause, a slow breath, and a sacred question. Does this thing I want to buy truly add to my life? Or is it just filling a void I don't want to face? In Japan, spending isn't mechanical, it's intentional. Every coin has a purpose, and every purpose has an emotional root. Because they've learned that many purchases aren't born of need, but of emptiness, of unspoken anger, of unacknowledged exhaustion, of the fear of not being enough. Spending can numb for a few minutes, but it never heals. That's why before they buy, they look inward. And sometimes, that moment of inner reflection is worth far more than anything money could buy. If you've ever bought something to calm an emotion, write it below. You're not alone. Sometimes sharing it is also part of healing. 2. They reject loud luxury and embrace elegance that whispers. In Japan, luxury isn't measured by sparkle, but by harmony. An empty but warm home. A piece of clothing without a logo, but full of soul. An imperfect inherited dishware set that holds generations of stories. There, showing off is seen as immaturity, because real power doesn't need noise. It doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be. Japanese elegance is a whisper, light, subtle, intimate. A single lit candle, not a floodlight. And in that silence lives a beauty the fast-paced world no longer knows how to notice. Comment silence if you too have discovered that true elegance is the kind that calms, not the kind that dazzles. 4. They don't pay for convenience if they can act with intention. Haste has a price, and often it's far higher than we think. While many places pay for speed, in Japan they honor the process. They choose slowness, craftsmanship, what demands presence. Ordering fast food, taking taxis out of habit, buying the first thing that appears. All of it costs more because it comes from autopilot. But when you pause, when you plan, when you do what you can do for yourself, you discover a different kind of abundance. One that doesn't rely on money, but on your connection with each act. Have you ever spent 3 times more just because you didn't plan? Share it below. Admitting it isn't failing, it's awakening. 5. They never buy anything they wouldn't use at least 30 times. In a world that celebrates the new, Japan honors what lasts. Before buying anything, they ask a simple, almost sacred question. Will I use this at least 30 times? It's a way of measuring not just usefulness, but commitment. Because every object carries an invisible responsibility of space, of energy, of care. A piece of clothing should walk with you, not just dress you. A piece of furniture should root itself in your life, not just fill a fleeting emptiness. Buying without thinking is like inviting a stranger into your home. But choosing with intention is how you build a real home. How many things do you own that you only used once? Write it below. Sometimes recognizing it is the first step toward choosing differently. 6. They don't pay for bottled water when they can honor the water that flows at home. Bottled water isn't just an expense, it's a kind of forgetting. Forgetting that you already have what's essential, flowing silently from your own home. Forgetting that purity doesn't always come with a label. In Japan, water is honored. It is drunk with gratitude, served as if offering life, and cared for as one would protect a treasure. Because they know every drop from the faucet is a privilege many others don't even know exists. And wrapping it in plastic not only pollutes the planet, but also the soul. There, caring for the basics is a form of practical spirituality. Type "I honor water" if you've also begun to value the simple things and care for them as they deserve. 7. They avoid the invisible expenses you don't even notice. It's not the big purchases that drain you most, it's the ones you don't even see. A silent fee, a forgotten subscription, an automatic debit that quietly took what you didn't even remember having. In Japan, these details are not overlooked, because they know small things add up. That what seems harmless eventually makes noise, in your bank account and in your mind. There, reviewing your bank statements is an act of awareness, a habit of respecting your own effort, a way of saying, I take care of what I have because I know what it cost me to earn it. And that awakening is a form of financial maturity, but also emotional maturity. Comment, I woke up, if you've also opened your eyes and started noticing what used to quietly empty you. 8. They never buy something without researching at least 3 options. Buying isn't just having, it's choosing. And choosing well is a way to honor the money you worked so hard to earn. In Japan, purchases are never impulsive. They are studied, compared, considered. Because every bill is time from your life, hours you'll never get back. And wasting it in haste is a betrayal of that time. Comparing options isn't being indecisive, it's being wise. It's telling the universe, I value what I have and I won't rush. There, even the simplest things are chosen with intention, because they're not buying objects, they're cultivating decisions. Have you ever regretted a rushed purchase? Tell me about it below. Your story might help someone else choose more calmly. 9. They repair before they replace. In a society that throws away what's broken without a second thought, Japan chooses to pause and repair. A torn shirt isn't trash. It's a story still waiting to be told. A cracked teacup isn't discarded. It becomes art through kintsugi, the ancient technique of mending broken pieces with gold. A reminder that broken doesn't mean useless, it means lived. There, scars aren't hidden, they're honored. Because in every broken line lies the memory of a moment, the dignity of having endured, and the beauty of having been transformed. And the same goes for us. What if, instead of hiding our cracks, we learn to see them as part of our design? Write, I am repairable too, if you've ever felt your wounds could also turn into gold. 10. They never eat out by habit, only to celebrate. Eating out isn't a routine, it's a ceremony. In Japan, dining out is a special act, a celebration. Not an excuse to skip cooking, but a gift reserved for truly meaningful moments. Because cooking at home isn't just food preparation. It's a state of presence. It's choosing ingredients with care, moving your hands with intention, and serving not just a meal, but energy. There, the kitchen isn't just a room. It's a daily sanctuary. And every homemade dish is a silent offering to the simple, real life. If you've ever felt that cooking reconnected you with yourself, share it below. Maybe your story will inspire someone else to return to the sacred fire of home. But a living memory can fill the soul for decades. The Japanese don't accumulate just to accumulate. They don't decorate their homes with hundreds of souvenirs. They'd rather keep a stone found during a walk with their child, a simple photo from a rainy day, the memory of a conversation shared under a cherry tree. Because they understand that what's essential takes up no space, and what truly remains isn't kept in boxes, but in the heart. Objects can break or be lost, but real moments transform us forever. Comment, "I choose to live" if you've also chosen experiences over things and feel it was your best decision. 12. They don't decorate to impress. They decorate to feel peace. In Japan, a house isn't a stage, it's a temple. A place that doesn't need applause, nor guests saying, "How lovely." It only needs to resonate with you, to breathe with you, to care for you like a silent embrace. There, every object has meaning. Every space has air. There's no excess because there's no need to prove anything. Decoration isn't about aesthetics, it's about energy. And when a home is designed to bring calm, it becomes a true refuge. A place where you can be yourself. No masks, no anxiety, no appearances. If your home reflects your inner calm, share it in the comments. Your peace might inspire someone else's. 13. They don't follow trends, they follow principles. Trends are like fireworks. They shine brightly for a moment and then vanish, leaving only smoke. In Japan, clothes aren't chosen for what they scream, but for what they endure. There, dressing isn't a fashion statement, it's an extension of the soul. Neutral colors, simple cuts, textures that breathe serenity. Each piece is a thoughtful decision, an emotional investment, a promise of longevity. Because when you choose from principles, clothing stops being a mask and becomes a home. While the world shifts with every season, they choose what can stay with them for years. And that quiet loyalty is a form of self-love. Comment minimalism if you too are leaving the superficial behind and starting to dress from within. 14. They never let marketing make decisions for them. On every corner, on every screen, the world screams that you need more, faster, cheaper, more urgent. But the Japanese observe that noise with the calm of someone who has learned to listen to silence. They see an ad, take a breath, and let it pass, like a leaf floating in the autumn wind. Because they know urgency is rarely real, and that wise decisions are made in calm, not under pressure. They've built emotional immunity to the constant bombardment, not because they're uninterested in new things, but because they've learned to distinguish between manufactured desire and genuine need. And that is freedom. Have you ever fallen for an urgent offer only to realize later you didn't need it? Share your story below. It might help someone else wake up. 15. They don't see saving as punishment, but as future freedom. In many cultures, saving feels like deprivation, as if putting money aside meant lack, limitation, sacrifice. But in Japan, saving has another name: freedom. There, every coin set aside isn't a loss, it's a seed, a promise planted in the present to harvest peace in the future. Saving doesn't mean not living. It means deciding when and how you want to live. It's having the margin to say no when something doesn't resonate, and yes when something truly matters. Instead of seeing saved money as something missing, they see it as an invisible net supporting their future steps. And that shift in perspective changes everything. Comment the word seed if you now understand that every act of saving is an act of love for your future self. 16. They don't forget to track their spending. A notebook, a pen, and a few minutes of daily honesty. That's how kakeibo begins, the Japanese method of managing money. But it's not accounting, it's moving meditation. Because when you write down what you spend, you see yourself. You recognize yourself. You confront yourself. You begin to notice patterns you never saw before. You realize it wasn't the coffee, nor the subscription, nor the taxi. It was the emotion behind each expense. In Japan, tracking spending isn't about control. It's about understanding. And that understanding brings a kind of peace that no amount of income can offer on its own. Have you ever written down your expenses and discovered something that surprised you? Share it below. Sometimes a simple notebook can change everything. 17. They never go into debt to impress others. In the noise of many cities, there's an uncomfortable truth that rarely gets spoken aloud. Too many financial decisions are born from an invisible desire, the need to be accepted. People buy clothes they don't need, cars they can't afford, even houses too large for their own footsteps, all just to feel validated by someone else's glance. In Japan, however, validation comes from within. There, going into debt for appearances is seen as an act of disconnection, not from the bank, but from oneself. They choose small vehicles, modest clothing, quiet lifestyles. And not because they can't aspire to more, but because they've realized something powerful. Peace is more valuable than empty recognition. Instead of shouting their success, they live it in silence. And that silence, paradoxically, speaks louder than any display of wealth. Comment true self if you're ready to stop living for others and start living in your truth. 18. They don't buy what they can't emotionally sustain. Behind every impulsive purchase, there's an emotion no one wanted to face: loneliness, anxiety, comparison. But what if the object isn't the problem? What if what truly weighs is the emptiness it tries to fill? The Japanese have cultivated the art of introspection before spending. They don't ask, "Can I afford it?" They ask, "Am I buying this from calm or from lack?" Because when you buy from the wound, the object will never be enough. And when you buy from fullness, you often don't need to buy anything at all. This is the beginning of self-listening, a deep pause before consumption, a soul check before swiping the card. Type self-listening if you're learning to detect your real needs before filling your cart. 19. They don't let money define their worth. In today's world, bank balances seem to have replaced mirrors. But in Japan, personal value isn't measured in numbers. It's measured in principles. There, an elderly man living in a small wooden house, tending his garden with care, serving tea with humility, is seen as wise, not poor. Because they've grasped something the West still resists. Money is just a tool. What truly defines someone is their character, their generosity, their calmness in both scarcity and abundance. You are not your bank account. You are your actions when no one is watching, your thoughts when all is silent, your compassion in moments of tension. And when your value comes from within, money loses its power over you, to lift you or to crush you. Have you ever felt like you were worth less because you had less? Be honest and share it below. Your truth might free someone else too. 20. They never forget to be grateful for what they already have. This is the secret that holds all the others together. In Japanese culture, gratitude is not a casual gesture. It's a daily practice. It's how they end the day, how they serve a meal, how they clean their homes. Because they know that what goes unappreciated is eventually lost. not because it disappears, but because we stop seeing it. True wealth doesn't begin with more. It begins with seeing what's already here. Looking at your empty hands and understanding they are ready. Walking through your small home and knowing it is enough. Seeing your tired body and being thankful it's still walking with you. When you give thanks, desire transforms. You no longer try to fill voids, you begin to share your fullness. This is the quietest, most invisible, most revolutionary act of all. Comment "Thank you" if you too are choosing to begin with gratitude, because that is the first step toward true abundance. Throughout this journey, you've seen something most people don't dare to look at, that money is not the enemy, it's a mirror. It reflects your emotions, your wounds, your beliefs, and also your awakenings. Today, you've seen that wealth is not a destination. It's a way of walking, a way of thinking, a way of choosing, and most of all, a way of letting go. Letting go of what you don't need, of what you are not, of what keeps you from breathing in peace. Because sometimes the most powerful act isn't buying something new, but releasing what never belonged in the first place. If this resonated with you, it's because you're already ready for what's next. Subscribe and join me on this path toward a more conscious, richer, and freer life. And if you made it this far, it wasn't by accident. What comes next is even deeper.